Hey everybody, Eric Grenier here with Philippe J. Fournier for this new episode of The Numbers. Philippe, how are you doing this week?
Good morning, Eric. It's been a busy week again. I think it's going to slow down. No, not true. No, I don't think so. Not before summer. But we had some new numbers, like fresh numbers, just published yesterday on Wednesday.
It's got the smell of fresh baked bread here on the podcast.
And the Liberals will not like this. But how are you, Eric? How are you doing?
I am having a bit of difficulty this week. I'm not going to get into it, but I have not been feeling very well, and so I haven't been sleeping very much. So I might be a little bit. What
Cranky?
is it? Low energy? What was it? What was it that Donald Trump would say about Joe Biden? He was low energy.
Low energy.
No,
Jeb
that was about Jeb Bush. Jeb
Yeah.
Bush. Yeah, low energy. So that's how I'm going to be. I don't have the stamina.
If you're a little crankier than usual, because I know that when I don't sleep well, I know my fuse is this long, and I'm thinking.
See, I don't get cranky. I just get like slow and like whatever. I get lethargic. Yeah.
We can deal with that. We can deal with it.
Good.
All right.
Let's get to the numbers from the week. We got a series of polls over the last week, federal numbers. They are all exactly the same, which is very funny. So we got polls from Leger, which came out, I think, just after our last... no, it just actually came out earlier
yesterday.
This week. We have the usual nanos, and an abacus that came out just this morning on Thursday morning when we're recording.
Right.
44% for the Conservatives across the board, which is a huge number. 23 or 24% for the Liberals, and 17 or 16% for the NDP. That's
low.
Those are low Liberal and NDP numbers.
That's right.
And 44 is high. This is my sophisticated analysis of these polls.
This is Eric only slept 3 hours for the past week. It's high. This is something I mentioned on Les Chiffres, our French podcast. But remember the good old days when the Conservatives were leading by 12, and then they were leading by 15, and then there was a budget and a pre-budget rolled out that lasted 2-3 weeks, and the Liberal says, "Well, it'd be nice to narrow the gap by 5 points." Well, that's a 20 to 21 point gap. 21 point gap between the two parties. Leger posted yesterday his numbers for the National Post, and just after I tweeted, this is the biggest gap since at least the Harper era. Jean-Marc Leger tweeted, "This is the largest Conservative lead since the Mulroney era." And you know what? It's 21 points. I mean, Harper did he pulled very well, especially after the attempted coalition of Stéphane Dion failed. But it never lasted very long. And 21 points...
a handful of polls and then...
Yeah, that was it, right? He led all the way through, but not by 21 points. And so Monsieur Léger might be right. It's since the 80s that we had...
It sounds right to me. It sounds right to me. Yeah.
So it's not getting better. And now, of course, the scientist in me and the trend understanding in me says, okay, so it was 10, now it's 15, it was 15, now it's 20. I mean, is that the ceiling?
These trends continue.
Well, I don't want to do a straight line until 100%, but we could see a 25-point lead if this goes on, right? It's not getting better for the Liberals. The Conservatives, even though they have their issues, the messaging seems to be working, and this would be a crushing majority. I mean, I'm going to update my numbers on Sunday, as I always do, but we're not talking about 200 seats here. We're talking about 225, maybe?
Yeah. The combination here is that these are low Liberal numbers, but they're also low NDP numbers. Yeah. And that's what's also boosting the Conservatives up to now 44, is that they're taking a couple points from the NDP as well, which they were probably already doing, but the NDP was taking a couple from the Liberals. But now I'm guessing if we were able to get some crosstabs that went into that detail, that the NDP is also starting to peel off or lose a little bit of their vote over to the Conservatives. And you and I both know that if this was election day tomorrow and we saw the NDP at 17, 16%, we would both probably put some money down that they'll end up more at 14 or 15.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and that just pushes the Conservatives up. and probably also push up the Liberals because their vote is a bit older. But yeah, you're looking at now 45 maybe % for the Conservatives on an election day with these kinds of numbers.
Yeah.
And like you said, 225 seats, probably bad results for the NDP, bad results for the Liberals. Bloc probably holds its own, which is kind of incredible that they would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the budget bump did take place.
Yeah.
It was like a bump on the head for the Liberals, though. It wasn't any sort of gain.
This is also, Eric, multiple Conservative seats in the 416. Especially with the vote splits. If the NDP goes down, the Liberal go down. This is less than 3 seats for the Liberals in BC. Maybe
because the
only
BC
1 or
numbers.
2.
We've seen lots of BC numbers now, 45-50% for the Conservatives, which I think is where Reform might have been, or the Canadian Alliance. But I'm not even sure the Conservatives ever, even in 2011, got that high. Maybe they did, but
the NDP did okay in 2011 in BC. So
that's it. There's just these. You've asked me. I'm not going to. I guess I don't know if I should reveal your texts, but you said it feels like it's like inevitable the Conservatives will win next year, and it's just really hard to see the kind of swing that would have to take place for the Liberals to end up with more seats on election night in 2025 with this kind of gap nationally, so sustained, because we're starting to approach. What is it now? 9 months. It's going to be 10, 11.
It's going to be a calendar year soon.
Yeah. I mean, the Liberals, there was reporting in the Hill Times. First of all, we talked about it, I think, last week. There was reporting in the Globe that they wanted a 5-point bump out of the budget, which I feel was probably more of a mathematical thing than an actual strategy. 5 points every 6 months would have got them within 5 points or even by the time of the election.
Yeah.
But then we saw Trudeau telling his caucus, this was reported in the Hill Times, don't expect that anything's going to change much until next year. Those are low expectations. And I'm not sure how you spin it's good news will be 20 points down in February with only a few months to go for an election. And you know what? If they're down 20 points, who knows what... is the NDP actually going to vote for the next budget? Why drag that out? Maybe we're in an election in the spring.
No.
We're less than a year. Are you ready? It's less than a year, maybe.
I don't want to be that cynical, but they're gonna run this out until October 25. It's.
You think?
All right, I'll be that cynical. I'm not that cynical in real life, but on certain topics, I am. And I know from covering Quebec politics for quite a while, and many staffers and people high up on the food chain will tell you that for most MPs, MNAs, MPPs, whatever, for most of them, especially those who won't be in cabinet, what matters most is their job. That's the first thing. Do they have a job? And then public service is important and blah, blah, blah. Right? I know it sounds awful to say this, but for most of them, first they have to secure a job. I love you, MPs listening.
I'm not... Philippe doesn't believe in you, but I do. You're all...
Yeah. So that many of them will say, okay, we're going to run this out. And, I mean, a Conservative majority in April or Conservative majority in October, what's the difference, right? I'm firmly in the column that it's going to last until October 20th or maybe 27th because of religious holiday, they said. Anyway.
Yes. And then not the pensions.
Well, I didn't say that.
I know. I don't like thinking that either. But it has to be a consideration when you're talking about a matter of months.
Yeah.
Because
it's a matter of 1 day. It's a matter of 1 day, right? The election in 2019 was October 21st, and this election is 20th. 6 years minus 1 day to the day. So it's...
Yeah, which seems kind of silly that you would have... they should have it be a term and a half or something. I don't know. Yeah. But for Conservatives... There's no Conservative in danger of losing their seat, right?
None.
So, if we're talking about the cynicism, there's also that cynicism too, right? They don't have to think about their pensions because they're going to get them. They don't need to worry about it. So it's easy to question the others. But yeah, that will be probably a consideration, I guess. But if that's what you're thinking about, you might as well just give up the campaign already. Because if you're worried about your pensions,
I know
you're not winning. You're not winning at all. So
no, you're not. No, but in the Léger poll that shows the 20-point gap, 44 Conservatives, 23 Liberal. We just mentioned this on Les Chiffres, but the satisfaction numbers for the Liberals are awful. 25% satisfied, 69% dissatisfied. I'm trying to think 25%, I think, is the lowest. I mean, it's been in the high 20s. I have the chart here. So, yeah, satisfaction towards the Trudeau government. It went from 34%, which was already low, in late 23, so August 23. Now it's 25%. It is the lowest it's been. And it's not trending back up. And if you can say, oh, well, the interest rates, the inflation has come down. We've seen the numbers. It's just that people don't feel it yet. And if you're counting on the Bank of Canada shaving half a point in the next year, that's insane. That's wishful thinking. This is unicorn stuff. It's
and
just
still
that,
not going to make your mortgage that much more affordable.
No.
Half a point.
No, no, it's not. So
Abacus had really interesting questions because they asked about the budget.
They did,
and you did find actually that the strategy the Liberals had probably worked in getting people to know about the budget, because it compared it to 2021, and it found that the amount of people who said they were familiar or had some awareness of the budget was 6 points higher than it was in 2021. So that worked. The rollout did get more people to see it. The problem is that all of the measures that they asked about in terms, not measures, but in terms of the impact on the economy, on taxes and all this, it was all worse than in 2021. So people are just not, they're just not, you know. Liberals are saying something and people are like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I just love that they had this word cloud. Word clouds are always kind of funny.
Yeah.
And the words that came up the most was more housing, which is good, right? If you're the Liberals. The second one was capital gain tax. And then everything else was nothing. They were just like little words that didn't mean anything. So I don't know. If those are the two things you get, more housing, capital gain tax. The budget was not, I don't think, what they were hoping it would be.
The budget could have free money for everybody. The messenger is the problem here at this point. It's that's why pollsters, rightfully so, do not just ask for voting intentions. They dig deeper into the more granular stuff, and there are no positive indicators for the Liberals, none whatsoever. Preferred prime minister, time for a change, direction of the country, name them. All the indicators are flashing red, and I hate to go into discussions that have been done over and over again, such as will Trudeau leave before the end of this term. It's just that the narrative kind of changed, right? Monsieur Trudeau himself said, like, adamantly that he would be there for the next campaign because he wants to have that fight with Monsieur Poilievre. It's just that he was trailing by 12 and then by 14. Now he's trailing by 20 points. Does this life preserver still works when you're 50 feet underwater? So, I mean, I think there's a fair chance that Trudeau's not there after the summer. That in the fall, the Liberals are leaderless, or at least he announced that he wants the leadership race. I'm not sure it's going to help the Liberals, but I said a few weeks ago that right now with the numbers we have, the ideal scenario for the Liberals would be a honorable defeat. I don't see any honorable defeat in there. You're getting crushed west of Ontario. You're trailing by 15 points, sometimes more in Ontario. You are getting... the Liberals are doing okay in Quebec, but they will suffer losses with the Bloc Québécois stable and the Conservatives on the rise. And you're losing Atlantic Canada. What is left? You won't win the territories. What is left? Nothing. So, yeah.
You have to really... If you're Justin Trudeau and you're still staying... you have to really believe that you're going to make the difference, right? Yeah. Because I can't imagine if they were down 10 to 15 points, I think you could justify being like, we're not that far, campaigns matter. I can still someone might do worse. I can stay, and maybe the result will prove that it was a good idea for me to stay. But when you're 20 points back, do you want to lose by 20 points?
Yeah.
I don't think you want to lose by 20 points. If you think that you can maybe have, like you said, more of an honorable defeat, that's at least something, right? I can save the furniture for the party. I can set up the next person and take this hit, so that the next person doesn't have to. But you have to believe that you're not going to lose by 20 points if you're sticking in. Because if you think you're going to lose by 20 points, why would you be the one who lost by 20 points?
Yeah.
Some big questions. I think are going to be asked over the next few months.
We should mention now, the fundraising figures for Q1 were released. Why don't you take us through them, Eric? This is more your thing than mine, but I saw the numbers, and I'd like you to put some context into them. So go ahead.
$10.7 million was raised by the Conservative Party over the first 3 months of 2024. $3.1 million for the Liberals, $1.3 million for the NDP, $400,000 for the Greens, $340,000 for the Bloc, and $240,000 for the People's Party. Here's the context. That is a lot of money. So this is the second best quarter that the Conservatives have ever had.
Yeah.
The one they just finished last year was their best. The fourth quarter is usually one of the best ones for all the parties because that's when you can tell people, give us your donation because you're going to get your tax credit in just a couple of months when you file your taxes. So the Conservatives were only beaten by their previous quarter. And the gap between the Conservatives and the Liberals, which is now $7.6 million in a quarter.
$7.6 million in a quarter.
Is the most it's ever been. That's the worst quarter comparatively between the two parties in the history of the modern fundraising system, which started in like 2004, 2005. Before that, like it was Wild West, companies could give money and all this, so it didn't really matter. This is a huge amount of money. They have the money to burn. This is why they have the ads and the Liberals don't. $3 million for the Liberals is not an awful number.
It's not bad. It's not bad for the Liberals, just that you're getting crushed by your
It's
rival.
bad when your main opponent is more than 3 times raising money for you. So those are the numbers. You said all the indicators are red. This one is another big red indicator. $1.3 million for the NDP, showing they don't really have that much money either. And just a little thing because I thought it was interesting. People's Party.
Yeah.
$240,000 in the first quarter. More than enough to pay Maxime Bernier's salary.
Yeah.
But it's their worst first quarter since the pandemic.
Okay.
So it shows that maybe it's starting to drag, to dwindle their appeal, especially when the Conservatives are probably... I feel like it's something that would be interesting to do. You take how many People's Party donors are now donating to the Conservatives. That feels like there should be some spreadsheet work that could be done.
Well, the PPC had just under a shade under 5% of the vote, and right now they're polling 2 or 3%. You wonder if they're going to match their polls come the election, obviously. But that's in the raw numbers. What was that? Like 800,000 votes, I think, for the PPC, right? Just under 1 million. So let's say 500,000 people now drop from the PPC to the Conservatives, and some of them are very motivated. Yeah, I can see it helping. But again, the PPC is not a serious party anymore. I mean, it's just a fundraising machine for Maxime Bernier. It's like they won't be competitive anywhere. So why not 240K in 1 quarter? Yeah, they're doing fine. It's okay.
So yeah, these fundraising figures. Another reason why the Liberals and the NDP had a good reason not to force an election.
Oh yeah.
Let's move to British Columbia because this is one I think I actually don't care too much about the poll. It's more about what the poll did.
Yeah.
So let me describe it. So this was a poll from Main Street Research that polled in British Columbia. Now, there's been lots of discussion about is there brand confusion between the BC Conservatives and the federal Conservatives? And with the change of name that the former BC Liberals made to BC United, how much is that impacting them? So testing these questions, an interesting thing to do. So Main Street did a poll in British Columbia, and they had 2 sets of questions that they asked to different respondents. So for the first one, they had the normal one. Would you vote for the BC NDP under David Eby, the BC Conservatives under John Rustad, the BC United under Kevin Falcon, and Sonia Furstenau for the Greens? Normal way to do a poll.
Normal.
Then they asked another question, and they said, all right, what if it's, who would you vote for? And again, this was different people, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They asked David Eby's NDP, John Rustad's Conservatives, Sonia Furstenau's Greens, and Kevin Falcon's BC Liberals. Testing whether you get different responses. And they did. And the Conservatives actually had their vote higher when the Liberals were mentioned, which shows that the Liberal brand, maybe it was a bit of a drag. But then Main Street, for some reason, to release their top-line numbers, decided to put those two polls together.
Yeah.
So in the poll that had the Liberals mentioned, the Conservatives had a 6-point lead over the NDP. In the poll that had Falcon mentioned as the leader of the BC United, it was a tie between the Conservatives and the NDP. So Main Street's top-line numbers was a 2-point lead for the Conservatives. I don't know why you would do that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, again, I think I applaud the idea of testing. Like, again,
Yes.
the eye of a scientist, you want to know what's going on. There's a realignment going on in British Columbia. Realignments can be messy. Voters can be confused. And we know there's a huge blue wave, federally. So testing, pitching different ideas is a good idea. And I think just making sure that people, are people confused? I mean, with the Uniteds mentioned, the Uniteds were at 15. When the Liberals mentioned, Liberals were at 16. So it's basically the same numbers. But it differed for the other parties. So combining two questions with different possible answers into a single poll, I think, was statistically a mistake. You shouldn't do that. But it was interesting that in the report, you could see the results separately. So that's why I didn't have as much an issue with it. I just took, for my model, and the website, if you go to 338canada/BC, you will see just the sample that had the right answers. But combining the two, you shouldn't do that.
I don't understand the reason for it. So if you are a journalist listening to this and you're covering politics in British Columbia, there was not a poll that had the BC Conservatives leading by 2 points over the NDP. There was a poll that had the two parties tied.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a useful exercise, but I don't know why you would report things like that. So if you're running the Wikipedia page for the BC election, I noticed you have the 2-point lead for the Conservatives.
No, really? Oh, no. Please don't do that. Please change that. Okay.
Yeah, please, thank you.
To go back to Main Street here in BC, so forget about this. I think it was badly presented. But we still have this issue of the online polls and the RVR polls disagreeing. Like, I know the RVRs is only two. It's Liaison, which is new, and Main Street. But we have ourselves a big confusion here in BC because, I mean, I'm not saying that the RVRs are wrong. IVRs usually are pretty good to get close to the green, right? Not necessarily hitting the pin, but getting close to the green. But how can all these online posters be wrong here? Like, you have ResearchCo and the Angus Reid Institute and Abacus and Léger. How can all of them be wrong? And the gap, I guess, is not that big. I mean, they all have the Uniteds between, 15 and 18, so that party's
there's not much
done.
disagreement there, no.
But are the Conservatives in the mid-20s or in the mid-30s? This is a huge difference. This will be, I think, the polling story of 2024. As we get closer to the election, will they converge, or will we find ourselves 2 days before I think the election is on Saturday, right? So like on the Thursday or Friday before the election, with wildly different polls, and having to say, okay, well, I guess somebody will be right, unless it falls right in the middle. But
In which case we'll be right.
That is correct.
And I just wanted to mention this. We're going to move on to the mailbag in a second, but we are recording on Thursday. There was the Milton and the Lambton-Kent Middlesex by-elections taking place in Ontario on Thursday night, so obviously we don't know what happened there. We'll talk about it next week on our patrons-only episode. And we won't make predictions because by the time you listen to this, it'll already have happened and we'll look stupid. So there's no reason. There's no reason to do it.
Well, I mean, I'll make a prediction. It could go either way. Anything can happen.
I think the big winners will be the voters, even though there won't be very many of them. Very few. That's the prediction I'll make. Turnout will be bad.
How bad? Like, okay, so closer to 22 or closer to 35?
The advanced turnout that we saw was like half what it was in the last election, and like the last election was bad. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah, if we get over 20 in one of these, that's good job.
All right, mailbag.
Yes. As mentioned in our last episode, we are now doing something to thank our members and also to keep our episodes a little bit shorter. We're going to answer one question for the public episode, and we'll answer some more questions that'll be available in our longer episode for our Patreon. So if you want to listen to those, the extended mailbag edition, you can join at thenumberspod.ca for as little as $5 a month.
That's right.
We think it's very, very cost effective, and so you also get to ask us the questions that we include in the mailbag. So this question we got, I wanted to talk about it because it was something that happened over the last little while. So this was a question from Pierre Poilievre on the Discord. And so his question says, why does Pierre Poilievre play such a risky game? This is how the question was worded, with the handshake of the extreme group and discussing them in Parliament. So this is the case of the anti-carbon tax, which had some links to some more extremist kind of groups that he stopped to meet on the border in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. So Pierre Poilievre says he understands that it could be good for fundraising, but he is already on top, as we've seen. So why is he doing that? What would be the advantage for him? I don't want to get into the right or wrong of visiting with these people, but let's focus on it from the numbers perspective.
Yeah.
Does Pierre Poilievre need to court these voters?
All right. I'm torn a bit here. And people can hear this, and we don't condone or approve or whatever the word is. We're talking about numbers. The answer is no, he doesn't need to do that. But it's not like the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre right now, they have to listen to us because whatever they're doing seems to be working. Like, again, if they used to lead by 15, now they lead by 20 or 21 points. Well, clearly they do something that's politically, strategically correct. Even though, like hanging out with these people, I don't think is a good idea. It's not a good appeal to middle-of-the-road voters, which will decide the election, as they always do. But he doesn't need to, but he's not tanking in the polls, right? I mean, he hasn't suffered any consequences from this, at least in the numbers. So who are we to say, well, he shouldn't do that? I don't think he should, but it's working. I don't know what else to say. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I had a couple thoughts about it. So the fundraising. We do know that the Conservatives are very good at fundraising, and they do have a certain kind of style of fundraising, right? Which is a lot of the direct appeals. When Pierre Poilievre was expelled from the House of Commons, for example, they sent out an email to their members to raise money off of it. This is a very effective way to do things, right? You get people kind of riled up over an issue, and you can raise a lot of money from them. And historically, the appeals to the members to raise money has always been a little bit more further to the right than it would be the kind of appeals to voters during an election campaign. But when we just talked about how much of a fundraising advantage they have, at some point, that scene from The Simpsons where Krusty was beating up somebody and the kids are all crying and saying how stop, he's already dead. Kind of this, right? The Conservatives don't need the extra money. I'm sure.
By the way,
at this point, they're probably like tricking out the campaign bus with like extra stuff, like a VR set and like another 2 bathrooms just because they have the money because they're going to have to use it. So they don't really need that money. And then when you look at the polls, they're up 20 points.
Yeah.
There was concern in the last election from the Conservatives that they had lost too many votes to the PPC.
That's right.
And part of the strategy, we heard about it all the time, was that they wanted to get those votes back and they wanted to activate non-voters, which are probably overly represented in this group as well. But they don't represent 20 points, right?
Nope.
At most, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And this is not going to be a 5-point election. At least it doesn't look like it right now. No. It's a 20-point election. So there isn't much of an incentive. But as you said, there's also not a disincentive because everything's working just fine. The last point I wanted to make was, well, strategically, does this open up vulnerabilities? Like you said, that this could limit their appeal among moderate voters. We know that the Liberals are going to try to portray Pierre Poilievre as too extreme.
Yeah.
The question I'm having right now is, there's not really any indication in the polling that we've seen that people are really that concerned. There's not a vulnerability that we've seen in the polls that Poilievre is too extreme, is too divisive, because you see the same kind of numbers for Justin Trudeau. That he's too divisive, things like that. So I'm not even sure if the vulnerability is a real vulnerability, that it might be in such a change kind of mood that people don't really, if they do see a risk or with Pierre Poilievre, it does not outweigh the risks they see of re-electing the Liberals.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and just before people scream at you, the Simpson meme that you referred to is, it's not Krusty who's beating up the guy. It's Homer dressed up as Krusty. He's beating up the so. But I don't disagree with that. True. So okay, Eric, it's time for a quiz. And regular listeners of this podcast will know that sometimes I try to trick Eric, having darker references, or not darker, but that's more obscure references, and try to go further into the past.
Is this going to be about murder or something?
And Eric always crushes the quiz. So I went back to a format that we have used a few times in the past. I think it's fun. It's the number of clues. You want to get the number of clues. Oh, right. And So how it works. I have 5 categories here. That I will read to Eric. Eric will choose the order he wants them. And the clues, there's 9 of them. In order: year of birth, place of birth or where this person grew up, degree and alma mater, was it federal or provincial, the first riding this person won, the first political party this person won with, a fun anecdote or fact, some cabinet posts, if any, or the highest post this person reached. So that's 9 clues. So if Eric says, give me 4 clues, I will read the first 4. And 10 minus 4 means there's 6 possible points for Eric to get on this person. And every guess he gets wrong, it's minus 1 point. And at the end, we add it up. So to get a bronze medal, you have 20 points. A silver is 25 points. And a gold is 30 points. So a gold is kind of tough. So I will give you the themes from my 5 persons on this quiz. Some of the categories have been used in the past, and I reuse them again because they're fun. So here we go. Dead leaders on the left. Dead leaders on the right. Western PC leaders. From Quebec City to Ottawa, those are people who went from being MNAs in Quebec City to MPs in Ottawa. And floor crossers, not people who decided to be independents, but who changed parties during their mandate. So, Eric, tell me what you want to start with. I'll give you the clues, and you can start guessing.
Let's go with the floor crossers.
Floor crossers. Last time it was Scott Bryson, which I think is one of the last examples, at least federally, right, who outright changed parties. Floor crossers.
There's been a couple, actually.
Who changed parties recently?
Leona Alice-Lev, Janica Atwin. I think that's it.
She
went from the Greens to the Liberals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's okay. That's 2. That's true. All right. How many clues do you want for this person? Do you know your floor crossers?
Oh, I don't know. Now, I don't know if you can tell me or not. Are these all federal or provincial?
Well, it's like this, like the 4 clues, right?
Okay,
federal, provincial. So
All right. I don't know. Let's start with the 5 clues. So I'll go for
5
points
clues
to
for
begin
5 points. Okay, so this person, this floor crosser, let me just pull this. Okay. Was born in 1963. Was born in Ontario. Has a degree of political science at U of T and a law degree from York University. Was in federal politics. And the first riding this person won was Richmond.
Richmond.
That's right.
Okay. So Richmond would put them in British Columbia, I think.
Oh, curveball here, Eric. Didn't expect this.
Or it could have been Quebec, actually. Oh, it could be Quebec. Oh.
I can. Okay, that's fair. It was Richmond, BC.
Okay. Richmond, BC. Okay. Floor crosser in BC, born in 1963.
In Toronto.
So probably has to be 30 or 40. So it would have been 90s or the 2000s. Floor crosser in BC.
For 5 points.
This is very interesting. I'm trying to think of British Columbian floor crossers. There was David Emerson, but he wouldn't have been that old because could he have been? He crossed the floor in 2006-ish, but that would make him 43. He was older than 43, I think. There was a floor crosser that went from the Liberals to the Greens. I think his name was Blair something. Blair Fraser. I'm going to guess that.
No, is not Blair Fraser.
Okay.
Okay,
Down
for
to
4 points.
Oh, man. What's another floor crosser out in BC? There was the doctor on Vancouver Island. What was his name? His name was Keith. No reaction from Philippe.
Oh, I'm not giving you anything.
What was his name?
I should say, like, it's something that when we used this format before, if you realize that you're not going to get it, you can say run it down. I'll give you all the clues and you can go for the single point.
Yeah, I won't do that yet. Keith Martin was his name. Keith Martin.
Keith Martin is wrong. So for 3 points.
Oh, no. 3 points. Jeez.
It's not easy.
No. Okay. Let's give me all the clues because I don't think I'm going to get it.
Okay. The first political party was when this person was elected was the Canadian Alliance. The fun fact: he ran in Etobicoke North in the 1993 election under the Reform Party banner. Again, lost. And again in a by-election in 96 in the same riding, but he lost. Cabinet post, if any, he served as parliamentary secretary to the president of the Queen's Privy Council of Canada and Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. And the highest post he occupied, that was it. Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs.
I have no clue. I don't know who this could be.
Oh, this will be a 0 for you.
Oh, no.
So his name was Joe Pescisolido.
Oh.
Went from the Reform to the Canadian Alliance to the Liberals.
That is some distance to cover. Gotta say.
That's true.
Right. Okay. I remember that name, but there was no chance I was going to get that. Okay. These are going to be tougher. All right.
Yeah. Well, you crush all the quiz, so maybe it'll make you sweat a little bit. So,
okay.
All right. Dead leaders on the right, dead leaders on the left. Western PC leaders are from Quebec City to Ottawa.
Let's do that last one. Quebec City to Ottawa.
Okay. How many clues do you want for this person?
See, this is not very good because federal provincial is already going to be included in that, but now I need to make up for the points I lost. So let's do 3. Give me 3. So
this person was born in 1965. Was born in Drummondville, Quebec, and has a degree in history and anthropology from the Université de Montréal.
Okay. From Quebec City to Ottawa. So
first
he started in provincial politics
and
then went to federal politics.
For 7 points.
The only person I can think of that kind of fits that age group, and because you said the age, the date of birth was
1965.
Yeah. Could that be Gérard Deltel?
It's not Gérard Deltel.
It's not.
So
Gérard
for 6
Deltel.
points.
Oh, man. Someone who went from provincial to federal.
There's a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could that be Yves-François Blanchet?
It is Yves-François Blanchet. Anthropology is his thing, so you get 6 points out of this. This is pretty good.
He was a environment minister in the PQ government.
That's right. Sustainable Development and Environment Minister with Pauline Marois, and highest post leader of the Bloc Québécois. His first riding was Drummond, which changed names to Johnson. And his first political party was the Parti Québécois.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, 6 points. That's pretty good.
Okay. Let's keep going from back to front. So we'll go to Western PC leaders.
Western PC leaders. Okay, let me pull this up. There you go. How many clues do you want?
This is going to be a lot harder. There's not that... and again, the federal provincial is sort of a... So I've got 3 questions left. If to get gold, I needed 30. Is this it?
Yeah, you need 30. Also, I must say, the PC brand doesn't exist in 3 of the 4 provinces, right? So it's limited in time. So...
Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep trying to rack up the points. So give me 3.
All right. I feel this is... if you get this, I'll be very impressed. This person was born in 1936.
Okay.
Born in Toronto.
Oh, God.
And has an economics degree from the University of Alberta.
Okay, so probably Alberta. From Toronto. 1936.
For 7 points.
Yeah. I don't think it would be Lougheed, because I don't think when he won, I don't think he was 35. Then the next one would be Getty. Wouldn't be Clown. Don't think it would be. Yeah, this is not going to be easy. Don Getty.
Don Getty is wrong for 6 points.
Darn it. Okay. No, Lougheed couldn't have been that young. I don't think so. Oh, wait, no. Am I thinking 30? No, he would have been 35. No, that's too young.
That's too young.
Peter Lougheed, I'll say it anyway. Peter Lougheed.
Nope. It's wrong for 5 points. Or do you want more clues?
No, I'm going to keep trying. Someone from Toronto, transplanted to the West, as the PC leader. I can't. Grant Devine.
Nope, that is wrong for 4 points.
Now I'm in a lot of trouble here. I don't think he was from there, but is it Ralph Klein?
Nope, for 3 points.
Oh. Give me the rest. Let's try to get a point out of this.
Federal or provincial? It was provincial.
Right.
First riding 1, Nipawin. First political party, the Saskatchewan Progressive Conservative Party. Anecdote or fun fact, this person was charged with illegal possession of improper use of a firearm after he discharged a Magnum gun from the window at his Regina apartment the night he lost. Some cabinet posts, none, but he was the leader of the opposition in Regina, and the highest post was leader of the opposition in Regina. So, born in Toronto, educated in Alberta, was in Saskatchewan politics.
Culver?
His name was Richard or Dick Culver, and you got yourself a single point. Good for you. So
I thought it was Dick Culver, but I wasn't sure if his name wasn't Richard or Dick. I didn't want to say that. So
fired a .357 Magnum out a window the night he lost, which is
fun.
think he's a good fellow. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, you're right. The clues that I had were too few. All right, so I'm at 7 points. I only got 2 left to go. To get a bronze, what do I need?
You need 20, so you need 13 points. It's doable. Oof. It's doable. Okay. So dead leaders on the left and dead leaders on the right. Which one are you going to do first?
Right. So then, so I need to have 3 clues for one and 4 for the other. So give me 3 clues for the dead leader on the left.
On the left. Okay. This person was born in 1907.
Okay.
So very much dead. This person was born in Loughton, England, or Loughton, 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 England.
Okay.
Could not find a degree, but he was an electrician by trade.
Okay. A lot of the CCF leaders were actually from... So Caldwell before, in a previous one, so we know it's not him.
Nobody born on the left now. We're on the left now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Douglas was also born in England, but he wasn't an electrician. He was a Baptist or a preacher. Trying to think who else would have been born in England. Instead, on the left. I don't think Jolliffe was an electrician.
Do you want more clues?
No.
For 7
I'm not
points.
going to give it up. Could it have been an electrician? This is what's killing me. Could it have been Roper?
No, it wasn't. For 6 points.
Okay, I need to get it now. Dead leader on the left, 1907. So it would probably be someone in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. Lewis wasn't born in England. He was born in Poland or Russia, I think. Oh, man. It's killing me.
For regular listeners of this podcast, I think this is the hardest quiz I've ever submitted.
Yeah, this
to
is
Eric.
tough. This is not easy.
He's not going to want to do quizzes anymore, but yeah.
No, I am not a quitter. Maybe it was the Ontario NDP CCF leader Donald MacDonald or something MacDonald.
Nope, for 5 points.
Oh God! Now I'm getting. Now I really don't have any clues. So give me the rest. I'll try to get 1 point and then see
Federal
how
or
good as I can
provincial, both. First riding 1, Vancouver East. First political party, the British Columbia CCF. Would you try to guess for 1, 2, 3 points? Or should I go on?
Is it... It's BC leader... Nah, keep going.
Anecdote, a fun fact. BC Premier W.A.C. Bennett called him the best leader of the opposition that has ever been. Some cabinet, most none, but he was leader of the BC CCF, and that was his highest
I know
post.
it now. I know it now. Can I still get 1 or 2 points?
You can get a single. Go ahead.
It's Strachan.
No, it wasn't.
No.
His name was Harold Edward Winch.
Oh. That is tough. I didn't even think of him. I recognize the name now.
Leader of the BC CCF in the
I think he was the
40s and
first
50s.
one. I think he was their first.
Oh, was he the first? It's possible.
Could be.
Probably.
Oh, I thought it was Strachan because I think he was also from England.
Okay, we have one last one. You okay, man?
I don't know. This is tough.
Dead leaders on the right.
So how many points I got? I got
You got 7 points.
Yikes! I got nothing. Okay, doesn't matter. Why don't you give me? Let's just do one at a time and see
One
what
at a time? Okay.
Yeah.
This person was born in 1900.
I'll need more than that.
That's a dead leader on the right, 1900. This person was born in Cardston, District of Alberta in the Northwest Territories. Because obviously, Alberta was not a province.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This person studied education at the University of Alberta and also at the University of Southern California.
Southern California.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Federal or provincial? Both. First riding 1 was Peace River.
Oh, Peace River. On the right. Leader on the right. Peace River, 1900. Oh, no, wait, that's in BC, isn't it? Oh, I guess there's a Peace River also in Alberta. Anyway, keep going.
First political party was the Social Credit Party of Alberta. So first provincial, then he went federal.
Okay, then was it Harry Strong?
Nope, it wasn't.
Oh, wait, no, you said also federal. Oh, okay. Yes, keep going.
This person was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His father had been a participant in the Utah Constitutional Convention in 1895. So a Mormon.
A Mormon leader? It's not Manning?
No, it's not Manning.
No.
Some cabinet post, if any. This person was Minister of Education in Alberta, which is interesting.
Is it Robert Thompson?
No, it's not.
Jeez.
Was also Provincial Treasurer of Alberta. And the highest post this person occupied, he was a leader of the Social Credit Party of Canada.
Okay, well, there was Robert Thompson, but you said it wasn't him, so it was the guy before Robert Thompson. Oh, what was his name?
I'm so sorry, Eric.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
This is way too hard. I'm so sorry.
Give me his first name.
Earl.
Earl? God. No, I don't know. Who was it?
Solon Earl Lowe.
Oh, Solon Lowe. Yes, okay.
You don't say the Earl? Oh, it's Solon Lowe?
I've always heard it just as Solon Lowe.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that was him. So
okay. This was very tough. This was very good. This was the advanced level course. So let's go through the list now. So it was Solon Lowe, first leader of the National Social Credit Party. It was Harold Winch, leader of the BC CCF around World War II. What else did we have? We had
Richard Culver.
Richard Culver, a often forgotten leader of the Saskatchewan PCs when they were a very small party.
Born in Toronto and educated in Alberta, just to make sure it's confusing.
Yeah, just so it was very easy. What else did we have?
Yves-François Blanchet.
Joe Pescalito.
Yeah.
And the easy one was Yves-François Blanchet.
Yeah. So
you don't like me. I'm in pain. I haven't slept much. And this is what you bring me?
I'm good. Well, sometimes you push, you always beat the quiz. So maybe I took it a few notches too far, but I'll bring it back now. This was
okay. Yeah, next week he's going to be like, "What's the capital of PEI?" Okay,
I know that.
Yeah, very good. Let us know if any of you got any of these.
Sorry.
But you know what?
Wow.
This is why we play the games. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
And clearly, Eric did not cheat. I mean, he really
I still brought up a lot of pretty good names, I think.
You did. I'll give you a point. So you finished.
I got
8,
Dick Culver, which is actually
did.
not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. That was a lot of emotion. Number of the week for me. I'm going back to the Léger poll, and it's rare that sometimes I think it's fair to say that in recent years, the Conservatives have been underestimated in the West. Right? It's always they're first, right? They're in first place, but in this Léger poll, 71% for the Conservatives in Alberta. Which is a really high number, which means it could be even higher because if we look at recent trends, sometimes, it's going to be 55 or 60, and then it's 69. So, yeah, Pierre Poilievre in the West, very popular, and 50% in BC. Now it's the new trend that we have seen in the recent weeks. And British Columbia seems to have turned in favor of the federal Conservatives in a big way. So that's my number of the week. What about you?
I'd like to see more numbers from Manitoba, see if they're moving as much as the other place. Okay, my number is a very big number. It is 55.6 million. This is the amount of money that Pierre Poilievre has raised in the full quarters since he became leader. So that's $56 million in 6 quarters. To put that into some context, in the 6 quarters where Aaron O'Toole was the leader, he raised $39 million. and Andrew Scheer in his first 6 quarters raised 34 million. So Andrew Scheer, 2017 to 2018, raised 34 million, and Poilievre has raised 56 million. So impressive. Even by the context of the strong fundraising figures of the Conservatives, these are big, big numbers.
Absolutely. We're going to see a lot of ads. A lot of ads.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Start putting the ads wherever. Yeah, buy some bench seats, put it on the sides of buses. Let's get, on a plane. What is the skywriting? They got the money to burn. Have a laser shoot it into the moon. They can probably afford that. Anyway, so that'll be this week's episode.
So sorry,
of
Eric.
The numbers. I'm still recovering from everything. And if you've enjoyed this episode, we hope that you'll join our Patreon at thenumberspod.ca. And if you already a member, thanks so much. We appreciate it. If you don't want to put in the extra little bit, we appreciate that. Spread it around to friends, other people who might like the show, so that we can grow our little audience and our little community. And Philippe, I think I'm going to give you a quiz next week. All things that you should know and that you'll be really embarrassed when you don't. This is what I'm going to do next week, because that's when it's really painful.
This is the theme, right? Okay, all winners of the 1939 election alphabetically. Go. So
yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to have it all people named Fournier, and you're going to eventually. Actually, that would actually be really interesting.
How many Greniers and how many Fourniers have been elected in this country? Well, I smell a quiz.
Hey, that's a good one. I like that one.
Merci
none
beaucoup,
of my
Eric.
family, none of my family has made it into the political center of the universe. But all right, Philippe, I'm going to recover from everything, including health and quiz-related injuries, and we'll talk in a week. So have a good one, Philippe, and I'll get you next time.
Merci, merci beaucoup, Eric. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great week.